Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is so wonderful to be here all together for this Pride Shabbat. Folks are coming in on the Zoom channels. Folks are coming in on the YouTube live stream. So far, it seems that no one has gotten confused about the fact that our service starts a little bit earlier tonight. And that is because our service will begin at 7, because we are thrilled that following our service this evening, we are going to have a program featuring Eric Jaffe, one of Philadelphia's leading drag queens, and especially one of Philly's leading bearded drag queens, especially as we center non-binary identities this year. They'll be performing an original cabaret piece entitled Or Vey I'm Gay. So that'll be after the service at about 8 o'clock, both here on the live stream and here on Zoom. And so I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Take a second, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on our Zoom stream, to take a second to introduce yourselves in the chat. Where are you coming in from today? Because one of the things that is so beautiful about being able to connect digitally during this time is that we don't all have to be in the same place. Looking at all of these faces and all of these names that I know, names that I don't, I'm noticing people who are here from Texas and North Carolina and Washington, D.C., and yep, Texas is waving. And the Philadelphia suburbs and Center City and West Philly, and none of us had to get into any traffic and battle any traffic to get here tonight. And so as we introduce ourselves to one another, we also turn to lighting our Shabbat candles. And I want to invite the head of Or Hadash's Inclusion Committee, Wendy Elliott Vandeveer, to lead us in our blessing for lighting the candles tonight, if that's all right with you, Wendy. Let me spotlight you here for a second. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
And our blessing for the candle lighting is in our Kol HaNeshama Sidur on page 5. Wendy, do you want to lead the blessing for candle lighting?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. And as we light our candles, we read together the words of the poet Hannah Senesh on page 4. Oh, you want to light the candles? Miss Bina is here. She wanted to help us light the candles. So let's read together. Blessed is the match that is consumed in kindling a flame. Blessed is the flame that burns in the deepest secrets of the heart. And to anyone here who does not have, I realized that that as I was in the midst of starting both a live stream on Zoom, or both the Zoom meeting and the live stream on YouTube, that I had neglected to make my regular beginning of service announcement, which is that if you do not have a copy of our Siddur in hard copy at your home, let me put into the chat in both places where one can access the PDF version. Thanks to Reconstructing Judaism and the Department for Thriving Communities, we have our Siddur fully digitized during this time of COVID-19. And so I'm putting it into the chat here. It's at http://tiny.cc/KN Shabbat. And I'm going to put it in this one as well. http. Oh, Rebecca will do it. Perfect. And we'll continue on page 7 with Yedid Nefesh. Yada-da-nai, nai-dai, yada-da-nai, nai-dai, yada-da-nai, nai-dai, yada-dai, nai-dai, yada-da-nai, nai-dai, yada-da-nai, nai-dai, yada-dai, nai-dai, yada-dai, yada-dai, nai-dai, yada-dai, nai-dai, yada-da-nai, nai-dai, yada-da-nai, nai-dai, yada-dai, nai-dai, yada-dai, nai-dai, yada-da-nai, nai-dai, yada-dai, nai-dai, yada-dai, Yedid nefesh avarachaman meshoch avdecha el retzonecha yarutz avdecha kemo hayel yishtachavel mul hadarecha Tavlo yedidutecha mino fetzuf vechol tam. Yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai nai, yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai nai. Yigalena ufros chavivi alai et sukat shelomecha tair eretz michvodecha nagila v'nismechavach Maher Ahuv Kiva Moed V'choneinu Ki Me'olam Yadanai Nai Nai Yadanai Nai Nai Yadanai Nai 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 Yadanai Nai Nai Yadanai Nai Nai Yadanai Nai Nai Yadanai Nai 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 Yadanai 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 Nai Yadanai Nai Yadanai We turn together to page 37, Mizmor LeDavid, Psalm 29, a prayer of strength, a prayer of might. On this night of Pride Shabbat, where we celebrate being seen in our fullness, where we celebrate one another in all of that which brings us together and makes us same, and all of that which brings us together and enhances our community through difference. We all, in body or in spirit, rise in strength, in kavod va'oz, in honor, in strength, and in hopefully all of that that allows us to bring our full selves to this space and to every moment where we join with others to make the everyday sacred, whole, and beautiful. We rise in spirit or in body on page 37 for Psalm 29. Mizmor LeDavid, Havul Adonai b'nei Elim, Havul Adonai, Kavod va'oz, Havul Adonai, Kavod Shemo, Yishtachavu Adonai b'hadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vayshaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkidem kimo egel Lebanon, Vesirion, Kemo Kol Adonai Chotzev Avotesh, Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai Cholel Ayalot, Vayecheso Yerot Uvechalo Kulo Omer Kavod, Kol Adonai Lama Buyashav Yeshev Adonai Melech Leolam, Adonai Oz Leam Oyitain, Adonai Yevarech Etamo Bashalom. Yai, 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 yai. On page 41, we turn to Lecha Dodi, the medieval piyut, the medieval liturgical poem that the mystics of Sfat used to sing as dressed all in white. They ran out into the green of the fields to greet that aspect of God that completed them. They dubbed that aspect the Shabbat Kala, the Sabbath bride. But we know that God, the Holy One, the source of all, just as humanity that is created in that divine image, so too the source of all is reflective of all genders. And so why the Sabbath bride? Why this image of a Kala? The mystics of Sfat yearned for that peace of divinity, that peace of holiness, that peace of something that is so hard to reach out and touch, that fills the hole, that fills the void, that fills that which is missing, that we yearn all of our lives to be able to find, to make ourselves whole. And so Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Nekabala. Oh, come, my beloved. Let us greet the bride. The Sabbath presence bring inside harkens both to this idea of finding that peace that you can greet and bring in, but also evokes a very different use of the word Kabbalat in our tradition, which is Kabbalat Panim, the tradition of seeing one another's faces. Traditionally at a wedding, the grooms, the brides, when they see each other's faces for the first time, the beloveds under the canopy, the Re'im Ha'ahuvim, a Kabbalat Panim, greeting one another's faces. And so how do we bring together this imagery, and why do we talk about this imagery on this night of Pride Shabbat? Because Lecha Dodi is not about a bunch of men running out into a field to greet a Sabbath bride. It's about a yearning on Friday evenings as the sun goes down, as we begin to enter our 25 hours of perfect rest, to be able to glimpse a holiness that makes us whole, and a holiness that makes us whole through Kabbalah, through being received, through being seen, through being loved, being welcomed, just as you are, in all of the rays and shades of beauty that we as human beings come. And so we greet that which we see in all of us as we gather. And so we'll sing Lecha Dodi, but before Bo'ii V'Shalom, before that last verse, we pause. And I want to invite us into a ritual of seeing and being seen. I'm going to call on people who are here on the Zoom to read paragraphs of of a new piece of tefillah, a new prayer that was written collaboratively over the course of the last 2 weeks by members of our community who have who shared testimonies, experiences, moments from their lives as queer folks, and will together join in the refrain, Shamanu, Ra'inu. We see you, we hear you. As together, we greet one another, and by doing so, greet the divine. And perhaps a new melody for Or Hadash that might not be so new to some of you. Let's see, in honor of Pride Shabbat. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmihanu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litchila lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi uri, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai halayich nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Top of page 47. Yaminu small, tifrotzi v'et Adonai, taritzi al yad ish, bein partzi v'nismecha v'nagila lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Like a rainbow. And so before we rise to greet the Shabbat bride, we greet one another. I'm going to share my screen, and I want to invite Ruth Mermelstein to read the first stanza, the first testimonial of our ritual of communal recognition.
A number of years ago, when the idea of same-sex marriage first began to be discussed publicly, my parents, not knowing that their grandson would later come out to them, said they had no objection because it didn't affect their marriage at all. I was surprised due to their generation, and have used that story to say why no one should object to same-sex marriage.
We can read together. For the anxiety of rejection that we hold around our loved ones and the hope that it may be met with acceptance and release, Shamanu, we hear you. Ra'inu, we see you. Jeff Chevett, do you want to read the next one?
I am a queer Or Hadash alum, and it would mean a lot to me to be able to bring my partner to services and be met with love and open arms, I hope that can happen soon.
Together, to all who seek affirmation and welcome in the eyes of Jewish community, Shamanu, we hear you. Ra'inu, we see you. Melissa Schiffman, do you want to read the next one?
My son came out in an awkward way and struggled as he searched for the words and manner in which to share his feelings with his parents. I wish he had felt fully comfortable to speak with me in a more open way. It makes me sad that he had any fear around this. I'm so proud of him and love him unconditionally. I always want him to be happy and at peace with himself. I would imagine coming out is hard, and I wished I had created a space where he felt he could come out to me without fear or reservation.
Together, for all who strive to create safe spaces for those we love and keep working and learning even when we falter. Shamanu, we hear you. Ra'inu, we see you. Diana Brody, do you want to read the next one?
Sure. Spending summers in Cherry Grove, Long Island with a friend who served as the town doctor before and during the HIV epidemic, banning unfettered gay celebration at dances, though through observing the gay plague before HIV was identified, to seeing people die.
Together, to all who mourn the passing of friends, family, neighbors, lovers, taken far too soon by HIV/AIDS, Shamanu, we hear you. Ra'inu, we see you. Cheryl Sankey, do you want to read the next one?
Friend.
There you go.
Wait, I have to mute. How do I get?
No, you're good.
You're good.
Am I good?
Yep.
A gay friend would not come out publicly until his parents had both passed away because of the extreme anti-gay sentiment in his hometown, Southern Orthodox Jewish community. He couldn't handle, quote unquote, letting them down. I hurt for him all through the late 70s and early 80s because he couldn't live his life freely.
And together, to all who fear rejaction, scorn, and harm at the hands of friends and family, and choose to live lives in the closet. Shamanu,
we hear you.
Ra'inu, we see you. Molly, do you want to read the next one?
My letter back. Buddy, mommy's off mute now. Go. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. Where'd it go?
This one.
Yep. You may not consider this appropriate for sharing during the Shabbat service, so feel free to keep this to yourself. But I wish the TV show Pose were required viewing or required watching for people who have no experience with the LGBTQ community. It might open their eyes to the struggle kids and adults have experienced in trying to exist in our society.
Together, for all who wish for a time where queer and trans folks of all ages, sizes, and ethnicities were represented openly across visual media, so that we all feel our lives and stories may be met with empathy. Shamanu,
we hear you.
Ra'inu,
we see you.
Galia, do you want to read the last one? I see you too.
My aunties, Shelley and Ellen, have been at the forefront of the fight for gay rights and gay marriage for the past 40 plus years. I grew up watching their rights given, then taken away, and saw that their amazing love for each other always helped them persevere through the hate and ugliness they encountered. Even as a child, I remember having such trouble understanding how their love and happiness could ever be bad, or why anyone would have a problem with it, or why it would be anyone else's business. Ellen passed away 3 months ago, and my heart aches for her wife, knowing how much they loved each other and how much they had been through together.
Together, we who stand as allies, supporting our LGBTQ family, friends, and dear ones. Shamanu, we hear you. Ra'inu, we see you. And we rise in spirit or in body on page 47 for the final verse of Lecha Dodi. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha, u'v'tzochola, toch emunei, am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi, likrat kala, Shabbat, let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. And we turn together to page 57 and remain in whatever position it is that we are in for the Baruch. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed.
Why are you turning off our video?
Gives us strength and makes our vision clear. And the blessing gives us peace and the courage to dare. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
The kitchen.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom, uvorei et hakol, yoducha v'kol yeshavucha, v'yadosh kadonai. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And Shelley Rosenberg, do you want to read Twilight People by Rabbi Reuben Zellman? Oh no, I didn't even think to check whether or not you were wearing the headphones. I'm so sorry.
What am I reading?
Quick on the uptake there, Jessica. Nice job.
As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight, for twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many entities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories or between place and place. We are crisscrossed paths of memory and destination, streaks of light and swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither, and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define, we can always say a blessing. Blessed are you, O God of all, who brings on the twilight.
Baruch atah Adonai hamari v'aravim, ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha ahavta adoram todim. Ki hem chayinu ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nehege yomam v'alayla ve'avatacha lo tasur mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 65, the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham ve'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, והיה עם שמות. We continue silently with one of the two biblical selections that follows. Adonai Elohechem Emed V'emunah Kol Zot V'Kayam Aleinu. I'm going to share my screen again. And Chava Hurley, I want to know if you guys, and you can split up because I noticed you have both of you, both you and Darcy. Hey, see, names. See, you can tell I've been here for almost a whole year. I can identify people by screen. Since you have two people, if you want to break it up paragraph by paragraph, I want to invite you to read For LGBTQ People by Andrew Raymer.
Okay. You want to start?
Sure. Our people came out of Egypt a mixed multitude, the spray of dividing waters, sparkling diamonds all around them.
We stood together at Sinai, all of us, future, present, past, amid the rumble of thunder and the crack of the bright lightning to enter into the covenant with the one who loves us, in whose shining image we are all created over and over again.
We have wandered bleak landscapes, built flimsy tents of skin, and then houses of stone. We have planted orchards and vineyards, seen two temples rise and then go down in the surge of flames, forcing us into exile. We have loved and lost, grieved and danced, transgressed and celebrated, hidden, suffered, thrived.
And we gather here this day in the community of our people, a mixed multitude, and we sign out, "Hear, O Israel." We stand together, all of us, descendants of the single first human created on the sixth day, and of our myriad parents down through the generations, too numerous to name. We stand together, linked arms, and pray.
Blessed are you, God of the universe, who sanctifies us with the commandment to love ourselves and one another in all our varied ways, and blesses us with the diamond bright radiance that still ripples out from your first spoken words of creation.
Thank you. And on page 77 at the bottom and page 79, we continue with some of those words, the words that Torah teaches our people sang in joy and celebration, in pride, as they crossed that sea from the narrow place, Mitzrayim, into the expansiveness of the wilderness through which we all wander towards what is next. Tehil umalchuto beratzon, kiblu alehem Moshe uMiriam, uvnei Yisrael lechanu, shira b'simcha rabba ve'ameru kulam, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, mi chamocha, mi chamocha, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha, mi kamocha, mi kamocha, mi kamocha, mi kamocha, mi kamocha, neder b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei, belen nora tehilot osei, belen malechutecha rauvanecha bokei hayam, lifnei Moshe zeli anu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, v'ne'emar ki fad Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai Gal Yisrael. Page 81. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat, sukat, shalomecha, ufros aleinu sukat, sukat, shalomecha. Spread over us the shelter of your peace, sukat, shalomecha. Baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'al Yerushalayim. On page 85, we rise in spirit or in body for Vishamru, attuning perhaps our voices, our bodies, our neshamot, our spirits to the key of Shabbat. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, la'asot et Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beni u'bnei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, la'asot et Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, veshamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, la'asot et Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. U'bayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, veshamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, la'asot et Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. We turn together to page 88 at the bottom of the page, and then page 91. We'll read this kavanah, this intention from Rabbi Sheila Peltz Weinberg, and then move into the silent Amidah. In the evening, the Amidah, the central sort of prayer of our worship service, is silent. And to me, I've always thought of this, that the Amidah being silent at night is this kind of like beautiful, gorgeous gift that the early medieval rabbis of the Gaonic period, as our Siddur began to come together and all of our practices began to gel and meld and sort of come into fruition, this beautiful gift that we were given to free ourselves from the liturgy. Sure, we can daven the words on the page. We can pray the words in the page in Hebrew or in English. We can use the commentary below the line and all around the page. But in the evening, we also have the opportunity to pray the liturgy that no one else could possibly know. Those prayers that no Siddur committee could ever write, because they're the prayers of our hearts. And on this evening of Pride Shabbat, I want to invite each of us as we came here tonight, seeking something, maybe seeking community, spirituality, validation, acceptance, connection. And I'm zooming out of my spotlight and onto a gallery view here so we can all sort of see one another for a second. I want to invite us to, however we are moved, lift up our hearts in that prayer that our heart needs for tonight. That prayer of the heart that brought you to this space, whether it's addressed to God or not, however it brings you tonight. So page 88 at the bottom. Dear God, open the blocked passageways to you, the congealed places. Roll away the heavy stone from the well as your servant Jacob did when he beheld his beloved. Help us open the doors of trust that have been jammed with hurt and rejection. As you open the blossoms in spring, even as you open the heavens in storm, open us to feel your great, awesome, wonderful presence. And we take some time for our own silent Amidah. Say shalom mimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel. Ve'imeru. Amen. And I want to invite my colleague, Rabbi Jessica Rosenberg, to grab the family headset and to read. I'm going to share my screen to lead us in as we turn to healing, to read for us a Mishaberach, a prayer for victims of homophobia and transphobia.
Mishaberach, Harinu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Yosef, David, Yonatan, Ruth, Naomi. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Joseph, David, and Jonathan, Ruth, and Naomi, bring blessing and healing to all of us in our community of communities who feel or have felt the sting of homophobia and transphobia. We have been victims of verbal assault, street harassment, and physical violence. We have been misgendered out of malice, ignorance, and accident. We have been forced to perform and conform to genders that do not match our identity. We have been denied employment, promotion, housing, and educational opportunities. We have been made to feel other and unsafe in public and communal settings. We have been made to feel other and unsafe in Jewish spaces. We have a rate of suicide among our queer youth almost 5 times higher than among their heterosexual peers. We have had our intimate actions criminalized and our unions made illegal. We have been denied services at restaurants, wedding venues, and bakeries. We have become estranged from family members and been made to feel unloved. We have not had access to restrooms and locker rooms that match our gender or been blocked from using them. We have been forced to choose to remain closeted or to cover our identities out of fear and discomfort. We have been erased or silenced in our histories and sacred texts. In times of darkness, help us to recall the words of your prophet, I am Adonai, your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Grant us the courage to hold our heads up high, to live into our truest selves, and to love openly, even as we move through our own processes of healing. Help us to overcome the specters of self-doubt and self-loathing that arise from the trauma of hate. Holy One, whose image all humankind is formed, help to soften the hearts and open the eyes of those who lose sight of the divinity in their neighbor, so that we may break the cycles and the speech patterns of homophobia and transphobia that are so deeply ingrained in our society. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So as we turn to our Mishaberach Lecholim, our prayer for healing, I'm going to read the list of names that I have both on our Mishaberach list here at Or Hadash and also those that have been submitted over the course of the last few weeks by members of the community, specifically to be read on Pride Shabbat. And I want to invite both folks on the YouTube live stream and here on Zoom, both of the here's, to share names in the chat as well, for those whom you're thinking of who are in need of healing and wholeness at this time of brokenness in our world and on this Friday night of Pride Shabbat. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. This evening, we're sending our hopes and our prayers for health and wholeness to Roberta Archibald, Arden Bell, Carol Mueller-Bell, Rabbi Deborah Bowen, Sarah Sarulnik, Bill Conrad, Robin Cupo, Francesca Dever, Susan and Paul Driver, Eric Gershman, Jonathan Giannini, George and Gail Glansberg, Hal Goodman, Talia Gottesman, Amy Gross, Alberta Hall, Cordula Hamish, Chava Hurley, Michelle Kalish, Sharon Cass, Fran Kaufman, Elsie Lieberstein, Len McEwen, Robert and William Mueller, Anthony Nero, Lisa Nicholson, Stan Pollock, Abby Rosenberg, Mike Rosenberg, Shelley Sanders, Willie Schneer, Bertha Schwartz, Margaret Steiber, Ellen Stewerman, Lloyd Suter, Lynn Van Engel, Isabel Vita, Stan Weckstein, Millie Weissman, Grace Zangwill, Eileen Zeff, Shirley Levin, Doug Proudman, Ivy Snitzer, Shelley Rosenberg, Jillian Samansky, Rabbi Alanna, Eric Goldman, Ellen Goldman, Rona Sussman, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Stuart Levin, Harriet Myers, Shannon Turner, Roshan Laff, Peggy Kerr, Bob Rose, Eric Griffin Shelley, Debbie Hoffman, Rosine Paul, Jean Orovitz, Dorothy, and I have one more on the list. The Black trans community, particularly in Philadelphia, but also nationwide. And someone also adds Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg again, but with her Hebrew name, Yitaruchel Bat Cyril Leah. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We wish all of them a refuah shlema, a complete and total healing of body, mind, and spirit. And we say, Amen. And just as we pray for health and for healing and for wholeness for those in our community, and we empathize and send our love and our support and our service to all of them and all of our loved ones who are in need of healing in their time of illness, so too do we share in one another's joys. And on Friday night, one of my favorite moments of transition is from our Mishaberach Lecholim, our prayer for healing, to our Kiddush, our blessing of the wine, where we go for praying for wholeness to filling our cup overflowing with joy and celebration, because that's community. It's both sides of that coin. Celebrating with one another in times of great joy, and being together and strengthening one another in times where we need to lend our strength. And so I want to invite us all to rise in spirit or in body as we raise up our glass for Kiddush on page 119. And I'll unmute us all for that moment of L'chaim. Savri Chavirai.
L'chaim.
Chaim.
Chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki yom tefillah lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki eleinu karata ve'otanu kidashta la'avodatecha בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. L'chaim. Actually, let's remain in exactly the same position that we are in as we move towards Aleinu and the conclusion of our service on page 121. And I'm going to share my screen one more time. And Shayna Lieberman, can you lead for us our alternative Aleinu today? Here it is, Love Wins, a Pride Prayer by Alden Solovoy.
One day the words coming out will sound strange. Oppression based on gender or orientation will be a memory. History to honor and remember. The pain of hiding, repressing, denying. Honoring the triumphs of those who fought to be free. Remembering the violence and vitriol that cost lives. When love wins at long last.
Vey l'reacha kamocha.
Love your neighbor as yourself will be as natural as breathing.
Vey l'reacha kamocha.
One day, love will win every heart. Love will win every soul. Fear will vanish like smoke, and tenderness for all will fill our hearts.
Vey l'reacha kamocha.
Love wins. In the end, love wins. All genders, all orientations, all people, all true expressions of heart.
Vey l'reacha kamocha.
Let this come speedily in our day, a tribute to the many and the diverse gifts from heaven, a tribute to love deep and true, each of us for one another.
Vey l'reacha kamocha. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol la'tetz gedula le'otzer breshit shenatan lanu torat emet b'chayei olam nata b'tochenu v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu notesh mayim ve'osad haaretz u'moshe v'yom. Let this come speedily and in our day, a tribute to the many and the diverse gifts from heaven, a tribute to love deep and true, each of us for one another. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yehyeh Adonai echad U'shemo echad. We can be seated. And as we turn in our Siddur, in our prayer books to page 131, we also turn in our hearts and in our memory to those whom we've loved and lost in recent days and weeks, at this season in years past. Perhaps folks who are sitting in our hearts, especially tonight, as we both mark and celebrate Pride and Pride Shabbat. And so I want to invite Eileen Jaffe. I'm going to share my screen. I think this is the last time, one more time, to read for us our LGBTQ siblings, a prayer for remembrance. And then I'll go ahead and read our Yortzeit list. And I want to invite anyone on either Zoom or YouTube to share in the chat anyone whom you're thinking of and saying Kaddish for tonight.
I am happy to read this, Rabbi Alanna. but there may be a screaming baby in the background.
Hey, you know, as someone who has a sometimes screaming 3-year-old, fine by me.
Okay, you got it. Oh God, remember today our LGBTQ siblings who were martyred in years past, those murdered by fanatics in the Middle Ages, those who perished in the Holocaust, and those struck down in our own city in our own time. Remember also those who took their own lives, driven by despair, by a world that hated them because of their love or gender. And in mercy, remember those who lived lives of loneliness, repressing their true natures and refraining from sharing their love with one another. Oh God, remember the sacrifice of these martyrs and help us bring an end to the hate and oppression of every kind.
This week at Or Hadash, we are still in a period of Shloshim, the month following the passing of Michael Oswald, husband of Lisa Oswald, father of Sylvan, Emily, and Jenny, and longstanding member of the Or Hadash community. And we also mark the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the death of William Ball, father of David Ball, Sherelle Jacobson, mother of Peter Jacobson, Jack A. Gantman, father of Debbie Levin, Philip Benson Lindy, father of Alan and Frank and Elaine Lindy, Douglas Jacobson, brother of Peter Jacobson, Irving Kurtz, father of Rhoda Gansler, June Press, mother of Sharon Starr, Milton Schacht, father of Ed Schacht, Evelyn Mendelson, mother of Philip Mendelson, Loretta Fogel, friend of Michelle Smithman, and Branya Rozlovsky, grandmother of me, Rabbi Alanna Sklover. We are also remembering tonight Donald Wolfe, Robert St. Pierre, Tony Catanzaro, and again, Stanley Norman Jacobs and his beloved partner of over 40 years, Howard Bender, Edith Windsor, loving memory of Loretta Fogel, a beloved congregant and friend to so many. She is greatly missed. And also to, sorry, one second. Dominique Remy Fells, Stanley Norman Jacobs, and Howard Bender. We mentioned again, Marvin Schnall, John's father, and Ellen Pontac. I want to invite mourners and those who are observing a Yortzeit to rise in spirit or in body for Mourners Kaddish on page 131, along with others whose tradition it is to rise for Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemeh Rabbah. Ve'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'mechon yedechal b'nei Yisrael. Uvizman kariv yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah barak olam umaya. Barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitamam v'yitaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudsha bruchu. La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tush v'chata v'nechamata. Ran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba b'shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al v'imru. Amen. Say shalom b'mromav. Uyaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be a sweet, sweet blessing for all of us. And Shabbat Shalom. Welcome everyone to Or Hadash, here in my home, in your home, in all of our homes. Or Hadash has gone buildingless as so many of our synagogues and churches and mosques and holy spaces have during this time. And what a blessing it is, especially on a Shabbat like this. And so the people on YouTube can't see the people on Zoom. So I just want to give people a sense. We have 48 people on Zoom and 38 people on YouTube. I'm probably counting myself like 4 times in that because I'm probably counting myself as 2. So maybe 48 and 37. So that's a lot of people here making up our Shabbat community from across, certainly all up and down the Eastern Seaboard, but also across time zones, across the country, across religious lines. And so I just want to say Shabbat Shalom and welcome on behalf of Congregation Or Hadash, Or Hadash, or Reconstructionist Congregation. I welcome everyone tonight to this Pride Shabbat. As we prepare to move into out of our service and into our program, I want to give a couple of announcements and a couple of thank yous. First of all, I want to give a huge thanks to the Or Hadash Inclusion Committee under the leadership of Wendy Elliott Vandeveer and the immediate past leadership of Shelley Rosenberg for bringing this wonderful evening to fruition. High fives and all. And to all of the wonderful and incredible members of that committee who, with your passion and creativity, brought together this evening. Thank you. I want to also mention that this is a big couple of weeks for the Inclusion Committee because next Saturday night, we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And Wendy will be hosting, moderating a post-movie watch conversation about the new documentary, which everyone can see on Netflix, Crip Camp, and having a conversation about that film, and also the impact of and legacy of the ADA over its past 30 years and a vision for disability rights and disability justice moving forward. And so I want to invite everyone to come back for Saturday night, July 25th at 7:30 p.m. for Havdalah and a post-movie conversation. Watch the movie on your own, otherwise that would be a very, very long time to all be staring at a screen together. So stare at a screen for Crip Camp on your own time. We'll all join back up for discussion. And unfortunately, bring your own refreshments. Also next week is our annual Tisha B'Av observance, Erev Tisha B'Av this year, the date that commemorates the destruction of the Second Temple. And I'll talk a lot more, well, the First and the Second Temple, all the temples, on Wednesday night, the 29th of July. Also, Jeff at 7:30? Yes, Jeff and Jerry, you're nodding. At 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at 8 o'clock. First word sounds like achoo. Oh, tishu ba'av. Yes. Sorry, Jeff is a very big punster for people that don't know him. So I thought I would humor him in front of, 75 of my closest friends. No. Yeah, so our Erev Tisha B'Av observance is Wednesday night, the 29th at 8 p.m. And then I also want to share that on Friday night, the 31st, we're welcoming a very special speaker to our Shabbat service, Professor Chad Lasseter, who is the executive director of the Pennsylvania, oh gosh, I'm going to mess up his title in front of everybody.
Human Relations Commission.
The Pennsylvania Human
Relations Commission.
Yeah, the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, Professor Todd Lasseter, and lecturer at Penn on race and racial justice issues. He'll come and speak with us about race in America, and we're going to have a really wonderful dialogue and conversation. And I'm really thrilled to be inviting him to Or Hadash. And I want to thank our Social Action and Tikkun Olam Committee for bringing that event together. More information will be on our website and in our newsletter. And so without further ado, with these announcements over with, I want to turn it over to Wendy Elliott Vandeveer, who is our chair of our Inclusion Committee, to introduce the incredible performer who needs no introduction, the one, the only, the Eric Jaffe. So Wendy, take us away.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. On behalf of the Inclusion Committee, I'm so excited to introduce our special guest for this evening, Eric Jaffe. Eric Jaffe was Philly's own Drag Queen of the Year in 2019, and we're going to be treated to a cabaret performance called Vey I'm Gay. That's about coming out and being a queer Jewish person, and features a mix of original music and parody music from Fiddler on the Roof, Yentl, and other Jewish pop culture. Eric Jaffe grew up in Elkins Park and celebrated their bar mitzvah at Beth Shalom. In an interview with the Jewish Exponent, Jaffe credits their Jewish background and family for their sense of humor. Jaffe said, "We were a big, loud Jewish family, and a lot of my humor stems from that." Jaffe's parents, who died before he began performing as a drag queen, always told them to just be themselves, an important message that resonates on Pride Shabbat and should resonate every day for all of us. Eric Jaffe is confident that they would have liked the show, and I hope that you all will enjoy it too. So let's give a warm welcome to Eric Jaffe.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Shabbat Shablam. And welcome to our performance. Can everyone hear me? If you can't hear me, say something. Great, you can hear me. I love it. Hello, my name is Eric Jaffe. I am so excited to be here. I am a non-binary performer in Philadelphia. I use they, them pronouns. Like we just heard, I grew up in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, went to Beth Shalom Synagogue for many, many years. And I am so excited to be here at Pride Shabbat. I want to thank Rabbi Alanna for such a beautiful service. Hearing such queer themes in a Shabbat service is so special to me. And I am so excited to bring you the story of my life and my experience with Judaism being a young queer person. So without further ado, oh wait, no, there is further ado. Is anyone here at a drag show or seeing a drag performer for the very first time? You can unmute yourself and say, yes, I am. No, you've all been to the drag show. I love it. Good.
No, we have a couple hands going up.
Oh, great.
Yes, first time.
Great. Well, welcome. There are some things that you should know. The first thing is that drag queens, we're starving for attention. So in between songs, after you hear something that just blew you away, feel free to unmute yourself and give me just a nice round of applause, because I've been performing in my home now for about 4 months and I haven't heard someone clap for me in a long time. So I would appreciate that. The next thing that I would like everyone to do is just take their right hand and put it up in the sky like this. Now we're going to need, before we begin, we're going to need a limp gay wrist. And if you can't get it limp enough or gay enough, just shake it out and say Barbra Streisand, Barbra Streisand.
Barbra Streisand, Barbra Streisand.
Great. Now you're gonna swoop it into a pointer finger like this, and you're gonna bring it down and up again, and you're gonna say, yes!
Yes!
Oh, that was wonderful. Now I believe we are ready. So without further ado, welcome to Or Vey I'm Gay. Shabbat Shalom, my friends, and welcome to the show. My name is Eric Jaffe. Here are some things that you should know. I grew up in the shul and learned to daven on the bench. My parents taught me how to be a shena pun a mensch. But after my bar mitzvah, I was supposed to be a man. But that didn't seem to be a part of God's eternal plan. Was I Tevye, was I Golda, or somewhere in between? And what's the word in Hebrew for a big old Jewish queen? Oy vey, I'm gay. I wonder what my very Jewish parents are gonna say. Oy vey, I'm so very gay. Now we ask the congregation to all bow our heads and pray. Hello, Hashem. It's me again. your favorite Jewish homo who's just trying to comprehend. I don't seem to fit in to this heteronormative box, but I really do enjoy a nice bagel with schmear and lox. I stood up on the bima and I studied day and night, and every Friday evening Shabbos candles I would light. So everybody, young and old, it's time to listen here. So drink your Manischewitz and I make myself perfectly queer. Hooray, puri hagafen, am I right? Oy vey, I'm gay. I wonder what my puppy and what my pop-pop are gonna say. Oy vey, I'm so very gay. Now we ask the congregation to all bow our heads and pray. Oy vey, I'm gay. I wonder what my very Jewish parents are gonna say. Oy vey, I'm so very gay. Now we ask the congregation to all bow our heads and pray. Oy vey, oy vey, oy vey, oy gewalt, I'm gay. Thank you. Applause. I'd love some. Oh. So, cheers, everyone. I know it's not Passover, but I'm going to drink 4 glasses of wine tonight. Cheers, l'chaim, l'chaim. So like I said, everyone, my name is Eric Jaffe. I grew up at Beth Shalom Congregation with very affluent Jewish parents. My father, Gary Jaffe, was a lawyer, and my mom, Beverly Jaffe, ran her own calligraphy and invitation business out of our basement. Now, that means that everyone from the synagogue was in and out of our house, getting their invitations for their bar mitzvah or their wedding. And I think one of the first signs that I was different was that I, instead of being outside and playing sports, would rather be inside looking through these gorgeous binders of invitations. There are hundreds of binders with so many beautiful invitations. I remember being so excited for my bar mitzvah because I was going to pick my very own. And it was definitely one of the first times that I think my mom was like, well, something's different here. We're spending a lot of time in the invitation room. But I loved my time at Beth Shalom. I was in the Beth Shalom choir for over 10 years. And I wasn't just in the choir, I was in the choir. I was a child soprano until I was 14 years old, which is somehow another telltale sign. And I was the Hazan's favorite. I got every solo that I wanted. And the Hazan at the synagogue was one of the first people to make me feel special, to make me feel like, yes, I was different, but my differences were to be celebrated. And my voice was going to be heard in all of these different solos. So when it was announced that Stephen Schwartz, the writer of Children of Eden, Pippin, and Wicked, was going to be coming to our synagogue, Beth Shalom, for a giant concert, you better believe I was excited. It was one of the most thrilling experiences of my life. And there was a solo that I wanted so badly because the song spoke to me. This song was one of the first musical theater pieces about someone who was different and someone who was looking for their place in the world. And I truly related to it. And I remember going into that audition and just knowing that I was going to get that solo, and there was absolutely nothing that could stop me. everything has its time. Show me a reason and I'll soon show you a rhyme. Cats fit on the windowsill, children fit in the snow. Why do I feel I don't fit in anywhere I go? Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. Everyone has their daydreams, everyone has their goals. People like the way dreams have us sticking to the soul. Thunderclouds have their lightning, nightingales have their song. And don't you see, I want my life to be something more than a long. Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. So many people seem destined to settle for something small. But I won't rest until I know I've got it all. So don't ask where I'm going, just listen when I'm gone. And far away you'll hear me singing softly to the dawn. Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. You've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. Thank you. Thank you. So needless to say, I did not get that solo. And I was devastated. I was devastated to not get that solo. And it went to somebody else. And that was difficult for me. It was. But I moved on because I had bigger and better things to deal with. And that was my very own bar mitzvah. I was going to become a man, whatever that means. And I was going to stand up on the bima, which is just a Jewish word for stage, which I was very accustomed to. And I was going to read from the Torah, and I was going to experience this awakening that we're supposed to have. But most importantly, I was going to have a themed party, which I was very, very excited about. Now, I have an older brother, Warren, and Warren was bar mitzvah about 3 years before me. And Warren's bar mitzvah theme was cars. All kinds of cars. There were, I don't know, there were sports cars and there were trucks. Whatever kinds of cars there were, they were all at this bar mitzvah. And I think that my parents knew that maybe my theme would not be as butch. So I went with the theme, obviously, of Disney, because Disney spoke to me so much as a child and set me up for lots of unrealistic expectations out of life. But I didn't know that then. And I was so excited for my bar mitzvah, and my mom, being the person that she was, obviously with her invitation business, I had the most gorgeous bar mitzvah invitation. It was black velvet on the front, and it looked like a Torah, and you could open it up, and inside in gold, beautiful writing was your invitation to Eric Jaffe's Disney-themed bar mitzvah. It was black tie, not black tie optional. Thank you very much. And my mom did so much. She planned this entire party, and she really, she was everything to me. I looked up to her so much. I remember as a kid, when my whole family would be taking road trips, my mom had this Barbra Streisand CD, and my mother and I were the only ones in our family who liked it. And on every road trip, we would put that Barbra Streisand CD in, and my brother and my dad would sigh and complain, and me and my mom would just scream the songs at the top of our lungs. And I wanted to honor her at my bar mitzvah. And so I did the gayest thing that I could possibly think of. And I decided to pay tribute to my mom at my bar mitzvah by singing her the Mariah Carey classic, Hero. There it is. Now picture it, I'm in a Mickey Mouse tuxedo. I'm barely 13 years old, and I'm still a soprano, so I'm singing this in the original key. There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer if you reach into yourself, and the emptiness you felt will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, just look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. You can find love if you search within yourself, and the emptiness you felt will disappear. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, 'cause you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, just look inside of you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. Thank you. Wanted to give you the shortened version of that 12-minute song. So obviously after my bar mitzvah, like I said, child soprano singing Mariah Carey to their mother, the synagogue began to talk a little bit. And, you know, my parents were so supportive of my performance aspirations from a very, very young age. But there was the side of my dad, and my dad was one of the most kind-hearted people in the world. But there was a side of him that just wanted me to try to be a little bit more like the other kids. So my dad convinced me, or rather forced me, for lack of a better word, to sign up for one season of the JJBL, the Jewish Junior Basketball League. Now, I don't know if you can tell by all this, but I'm not really cut out for the Jewish Junior Basketball League. My brother, by the way, was the star of the Jewish Junior Basketball League. So I was coming in as some kind of legacy, I was coming in as Warren Jaffe's brother, who was gonna be a star at basketball. And those people who thought that did not know me well. And I remember on the very first day of JJBL, you'd think that you would walk in and they would say, okay, here are the rules of basketball. No, not at the JJBL. I walked into my very first day at the JJBL in a cute little sports outfit, and I was just thrown into a sports basketball game, a real game with points, and someone threw me a real basketball, and I didn't know what to do, so I passed it to someone else, and the judge or the adjudicator or the director or the referee, that's what it is. The referee blew the whistle and said, no, you can't pass a ball behind you. And I said, how was I to know? How was I to know the rules of the Jewish Junior Basketball League? Nobody taught me how to play. And that's when I began to think, well, maybe I would know the rules if I were different. If I were a straight man, yibble-deeble-dabble-yibble-deeble-deeble-dabble-dum. All day long I'd biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a hetero man, I'd take up watching football. Yibble-deeble-dabble, yibble-deeble-deeble-dabble-dum. If I were a bitty straight, yibble-deeble-dibble-dibble man, I'd build a big tall house with rooms by the dozen right in a rich suburban town. A white picket fence with a big garage for my tools. There would be one big flat screen just showing sports, and one even larger showing Family Guy, and one that's even bigger showing bad stand-up comedy. I don't know why they like that. I'd be on Tinder looking for a nice Jewish girl to take home and say the Shabbos prayers. We dive in together as obnoxiously as we can. And with each Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu, we'd look right into each other's eyes, as if to say, yes, I am a straight man. Oy. If I were a straight man, yibble-deeble-dabble-yibble-deeble-deeble-dabble-dum. All day long I'd biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a hetero man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Yibble-deeble-dabble-dabble-deeble-deeble-dabble-dum. If I were a bitty straight, yibble-deeble-dabble-dabble man, the most important men in town would come to fawn on me. They'd ask me to advise them, like a Dane Cook or someone wise. Pardon me, Eric Jaffe, if you please, Eric Jaffe, asking problems that would cross a straight man's eyes. And it wouldn't make one bit of difference if I answered right or wrong. 'Cause when you're straight and cis, they think you really know. Ay. If I were a straight man, yibble-deeble-dabble, yibble-deeble-deeble-dabble-dum. All day long I'd biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a hetero man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Yibble-deeble-dabble, yibble-deeble-deeble-dabble-dum. Lord, who made me so such a sissy lamb. You decreed I should be who I am. Actually, I'm not mad at this plan. Thank Hashem, I'm not a hetero man. Thank you. Whew. So I had those feelings. I had those feelings for a long time of why couldn't I be like everyone else? And I feel like those feelings were coming from the fact that there was a piece of my dad that still didn't fully accept me, and I was so sad about that. And years went by, and I came more into myself, and I had the conversation with him of why are you still not at terms with this? And we had an incredible conversation about the older Jewish generation and what their thoughts were on queer people. And for someone like my dad, who had a child who was coming out as a queer person, it was scary for him because of what his limited knowledge of queer people was. And what his limited knowledge is that it was an unsafe and dangerous lifestyle. And over time, he came to learn that that simply wasn't the case. And I'm so grateful that before my father passed away, we had the chance to really connect. And he had the chance to meet someone that I was dating and see that we were just two people who were in love. And I will never look back and regret the things that I said to him, because I knew that it made him see who I was. I miss him. I miss him so much, and I wish that he could see this being that I am now. Because as we came to terms, my dad would come to gay bars and see me perform. I wasn't a drag performer yet, but I was playing music in gay bars, and he would come and he would see me. And I remember one specific time we sang karaoke together at a gay bar, and there were people there who were so jealous of that experience. And I am so grateful that I was able to have that. And I miss him every day. And there is no better song that I feel like I could sing for him, because A, he would hate it, and B, this song just really says all of the things that I wish I could say to him. Oh God, our Heavenly Father. Oh God, and my Father, who is also in heaven, may the light of this flickering candle illuminate the night the way your spirit illuminates my soul. Papa, can you hear me? Papa, can you see me? Papa, can you find me in the night? Papa, are you near me? Papa, can you hear me? Papa, can you help me not be frightened? Looking at the skies, I seem to see a million eyes. Which ones are yours? Where are you now that yesterday has said goodbye and closed their doors? The night is so much darker. The wind is so much colder. The world I see is so much bigger now that I'm alone. Papa, please forgive me, try to understand me. Papa, don't you know I had no choice? Can you hear me praying everything I'm saying? Even though the night is filled with voices, I remember everything you taught me, every book I ever read. Can all the words and all the books help me to face what lies ahead? The trees are so much taller, and I feel so much smaller. The world is twice as lonely, and the stars are half as bright. Papa, how I love you. Papa, how I need you. Papa, how I miss you kissing me. Good night. Thank you. My dad always told me that he owed me 3 things in life. He always told me that he owed me 3 things. He owed me a good name, he owed me a good set of morals and values, and he owed me a good education. And my dad gave me a good education. He brought me up in a synagogue, which I believe really taught me the sense of right from wrong. I feel as though Judaism for me taught me how to be a good person. And he gave me his name, and this is the reason that as a drag performer, I don't have a silly drag name. I use my name because I hold it so closely to my heart because of both of my parents and what their name meant to them, and that's what it means to me. A year later, after I lost my father, my mom also passed away. And it was the most devastating thing that's ever happened. I remember the moment that I found out, and I fell to the ground, and I felt like the world was shattered, and I didn't know how I would ever pick myself up again. And I truly believe that Jews know how to handle death, because without Shiva and without my friends and my family and like the biggest spread of food I've ever seen in my life, I don't think that I would have been prepared to face the death of both of my parents at such a young age as someone who needed them so closely. I still feel them. I still feel them with me. And I would like to read this poem that I wrote for my mom in 1997. So this poem goes, "Do you know how much I love you? So much I can't explain. You are the reason I smile every morning, the reason I don't show pain. Do you know how much I love you? So much I can't deny. Anyone who would question our love, I'd gladly testify. Do you know how much I love you? I'd risk my life for yours. For you, I'd fly all the way to the sun just to melt marshmallows for your s'mores. Do you know how much I love you? I'd take you to my prom. But the thing that I love most of all is that you are my mom." memories light the corners of my mind. Misty watercolor memories of the way we were. Scattered pictures of the smiles we left behind. Smiles we gave to one another of the way we were. Can it be that it was all so simple then? Or has time rewritten every line? If we had the chance, could we do it all again? Tell me, would we? Could we? Memory seems so beautiful, and yet what's too painful to remember? We simply choose to forget. So it's the laughter that we will remember when we remember the way we were. The way we Thank you. That's enough of that. Now, how about the time that I dated a Santa Claus? When I was in college, I dated a Santa Claus, and I said to him, Santa, why don't you come over for a Hanukkah dinner? And this was my experience bringing Santa home for Hanukkah. Oh, hello, Santa. Welcome to my very Jewish house. Santa booby, spin the dreidel round for your boy, my goy. You know I've been such a mensch, Santa booby, so come light my menorah tonight. Oh, Santa. Santa booby, I don't mind that you're not a Jew, my shik sabu. You know, our people love Christmas too. So Santa booby, come over, we'll get Chinese food and watch a movie tonight. Don't worry, I made reservations. Think of all the latkes you've missed. Think of all the Goldsteins that you haven't kissed. Next year, I'll be less of a schmuck if you try my gefilte fish. No, really, I insist. Oh, Santa schmutzy, I'm sorry that fish makes you dry heave. Don't leave. You gotta at least taste my matzo balls. Santa schmutzy, down it with Manischewitz tonight. It's an $8 bottle of wine, you're gonna love it. Oh, Santa schmendrick, you gotta taste my chopped liver next. Mine's the best. Just ask anyone, they'll tell you, right, Carol? Santa schmendrick, you're gonna get some kugel tonight. Oh, Santa, Hanukkah is the festival of lights. 40 years in the desert so you can eat this tonight. I hope you're ready for some Jewish tush at sundown for the next 8 nights. Santa Puppy, take some schnecken onto your sleigh. Oy vey, Mr. Schmeckle can come back any day. Santa stooped me, he spun me like a dreidel tonight. He fried me like a latke tonight. He lit up my menorah tonight. Bye, Santa. Thank you, thank you. And that was the time that very Jewish Eric Jaffe had a wonderful evening with Santa Claus. Friends, I've had so much fun with you tonight. I thank you all for having me here. It has been a pleasure to be with you. I never thought that as a drag performer, I would be performing in such Jewish spaces. And because growing up, being queer was not something that was really talked about or mentioned by the people in charge of the synagogue. So being here tonight and hearing these wonderful queer themes intertwined with the Shabbat service has really brought me so much pride and joy. And I am going to end this night with this sing-along. So I'm sure most of you know this song. So if you would like to unmute yourselves and sing with me, feel free. Don't tell me not to live, just sit and cuddle. Life's candy and the sun's a ball of butter. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. Don't tell me not to cry, I've simply got to. If someone takes a spill, it's me and not you. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. I'll march my band out, I'll beat my drum. And if I'm fanned out, your turn at bat, sir. At least I didn't fake it, hat, sir. I guess I didn't make it, but whether I'm the rose of shea complexion, a freckle on the nose of light complexion, a shimmer on the tiny apple of its eye. I gotta fly once, I gotta try once, only can die once, right, sir? Ooh, life is juicy, juicy, and you see, I gotta have my bite, sir. Get ready for me, love, cause I'm a comer. I've simply gotta march my heart to drummer. Don't bring around the cloud to rain on my parade. I'm gonna live and live now. Get what I want, I know how. One roll for the whole shebang. One roll, that bell will go clang. I am the target and wham! One shot, one gunshot and bam! Hey, Mr. Arnstein, here I am. I'll march my band out. I'll beat my drum. And if I'm banned out, your turn at bat, sir. At least I didn't make it, hat, sir. I guess I didn't make it. Get ready for me, love, cause I'm a comer. I simply gotta march my heart to drummer. Nobody, no, nobody is gonna rain on my
Bravo! Yes. Eric, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight at Or Hadash, a Reconstructionist Congregation, and all across the many places that we are coming from here tonight. I want to open the floor for folks to take a second to meet Eric, to ask questions, and to have a little bit of a talk back. But before we open it up to get to know one another a little bit, in addition to your thanks, I want to say my gratitude for all of you. I want to say that it was really important to us at Or Hadash that we offer this event free of charge. We would never charge for a Shabbat evening program. And especially during this time of COVID-19, where so many of us are struggling and the future is so uncertain, to be able to provide programming to folks that's accessible, that's fun, that brings a smile to everyone's face is just so important. If you want to give a donation of support to Eric, to support them in their work, visit theericjaffe.com to give a gift to Or Hadash, a Reconstructionist Congregation. We are at www.orhadash.com. If you go to orhadash.org, there's also a synagogue, but it's not us. It's in like Alberta. orhadash.com. And also to learn more about our congregation and our community in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania, and everywhere that we are, especially during this time when we are searching for community in all of the places where we can find it. Eric, are there other places that folks can find you other than at your website, theericjaffe.com?
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at the Eric Jaffe. You can find me on Facebook at Eric Jaffe. And yeah, and at theericjaffe.com. Absolutely.
And on a personal note, this is my second year in a row working with Eric on Pride Shabbat, a very different program geared towards the little ones last year. And this year I am just thrilled to be hanging out with you and some of our favorite adults, although I did notice that there are people of all ages on this show. But I want to open it up for folks to both share their gratitudes and also maybe about 10 minutes question and answer if anyone has any thoughts or questions about Eric, their process, their work, and also for folks who are on the YouTube, don't think that on the YouTube live chat that you can't ask questions as well. I can pick up right from the chat and throw them on. So use your little hand raisey button and I'll call on folks and spotlight them.
I'm an open book. You can ask whatever you want.
I mean, I'll start. Who does your hair?
I source my hair from a ton of different local designers. I try to basically just find different local hairstylists in the city that work with wigs. And I try to support as many different small businesses as I can, especially through my drag. And so I look and I source for different hairstylists and I work with them as to what I want as far as color and style, and they make it for me.
Thank you. Sandy Lewis.
Oh, hi. I was just wondering how many different kinds of shows that you do, because you mentioned that you had done a children's show, which I'm sure is a little different than this. And I just wondered, do you have a whole category of different shows?
Yeah, I do many different things. I grew up in theater and I went to school, I went to college and majored in theater. So I do run a theater company in Philadelphia called Jaffe St. Queer Productions. And we focus on queer and trans inclusive comedy and parody theater. We write original parody musicals and we put up approximately 2 per year. I also run my own cabarets that are similar to this, where it's just me and a microphone. I also run some cabarets where I bring in different artists and showcase them. And then I also do stuff for children, whether it's story times or music classes. So, you know, if there's a job, I do bar mitzvahs, I do weddings, I do whatever the job calls for.
And Eric does a mean drag story time, especially for anyone out there who's a teacher or a librarian looking for quality programming for the fall that can be done digitally. Debbie Carl. You're muted. There you go.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Eric, we really enjoyed that, and I ran upstairs to get something to show you for show and tell. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe if you put me on.
Here, I'm going to spotlight you here.
It's probably backwards too, but
No, it's
This
not.
is the program from Beth Shalom when
Yes,
Stephen Schwartz
from the
came.
Stephen Schwartz concert. Yes.
We were there. We were there
Amazing.
because I'm a huge Stephen Schwartz fan and a huge Corner of the Sky fan. So here
Amazing.
inside, you said you didn't get the solo, but I can't get it to focus. It says Corner of the Sky, Eric Jaffe on this page.
I took artistic liberties. I
I ratted you out.
So your secret's out. You did get the solo.
I did get the solo. Things went my way.
But I just wanted to share that tidbit from my files.
Amazing.
Debbie Carl, do you throw anything away? Is the question.
I do, but not related to Stephen Schwartz. I was going to show here. Here's the other thing. This is my Pippin playbook from 1970 that I got for Stephen Schwartz to sign that day. He was signing everybody's wicked stuff, but I have.
Wow.
That is amazing. I love it. Other questions I see from Barbara. Barbara and Dan want to know who does your makeup, and then Molly.
I do my own makeup. My makeup has been a process. You know, anyone who starts drag makeup, it takes a long time to learn. And I feel like every time you do drag makeup, you get a little bit better and you learn something new. But I do it. It takes anywhere from an hour to 2.5 hours, depending on how much time I have and how much time I'm willing to spend doing it. But I could sit there and do it for like 2.5 hours if I really have the time and want to take the time.
From a fellow theater person, Molly.
Hi. So not a question, but I just wanted to tell you, I was watching with my 4-year-old twins for a while there, and one of them, he turned to me during one of your songs and said, "Mommy, you don't have lipstick like he does." So yeah, even my 4-year-olds acknowledge that you are way better at the makeup than
Thank you.
Nice. Thanks. I see a hand from Jeff Garfinkel. Jeff, go ahead.
Hi, Eric. It's really great to meet you. And I loved your performance. And I'm so happy that your father was able to support you through the period of time. I'm wondering, I'm also grew up in a Jewish family, and I'm part of the LGBTQ community. I consider myself bisexual. And so I'm wondering what your experience was in the synagogue, other than the rabbi who supported you. How was that? How did you navigate through that?
So I had a really strong support system from the Hazan, because I was a singer and because I was so interested in the choir. I felt really at home in the synagogue. But like I said, I never really heard anything about queer people, or I never learned anything about whether or not it was really accepted as a kid. I just knew that it wasn't condemned. No one ever said, don't be a queer person, but no one ever said things like we heard tonight, where we pray for our LGBTQ siblings, or I don't think that there was ever a Pride Shabbat or a Pride anything growing up. So as far as my queerness in the synagogue, it was sort of back and forth, because my synagogue also, aside from the choir, my synagogue, Beth Shalom, had a community theater, the Beth Shalom Players, that I was also heavily involved in. And of course, theater is very queer inclusive. So I had that space within the synagogue that I felt like I could really, truly be myself. And I was very happily accepted. But overall, I do wish that there was some more vocal support growing up. But I do know that a lot of synagogues have begun to do that. And Beth Shalom has as well. And I'm happy that they have.
Thanks. I think we have time for maybe one more question. I see a hand from Jerry. Go ahead, Jerry and Jeff.
Hi. How do young children deal with meeting someone for the first time who has both a beard and long hair and makeup and the pronoun they? Are they confused? Do they accept it?
I'm so happy that you asked that. part of the reason that I decided to be a bearded drag performer was to blur those lines, because the idea of gender, when you think about it, is essentially made up, right?
But children are very concrete. You're either this
yes.
or you're that.
There are definitely children who have asked me, are you a boy or are you a girl? And I've honestly been asked that question by children out of drag, because I paint my nails when I'm not in drag, and you know, I'm not the most masculine person on earth. But I would say that whenever I meet a child in drag, they are very, very accepting, and they're honestly distracted by the sparkly things. So they don't really care, and they don't really seem to need to know about whether you're a boy or a girl. They just need to take it all in, and they always seem to really respond well and to love. You know, it's like when they meet a princess at Disney World, because we are very out of this world sparkly creatures.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Wonderful. So thank you all so much for being here tonight. This was such a treat and such a wonderful way to spend a Friday night. And I just also want to say on a personal note, a wonderful way to spend my birthday. So I would like to thank the Or Hadash
Happy birthday
for throwing me a birthday party involving
Happy
a drag
birthday.
performance. Thank you. No. But thank you all so much. And again, to learn more about Eric and their work, www.theericjaffe.com. To learn more about Or Hadash, learn about membership, about our programming. Oh, thank you, Jules and Ruth. You're so sweet. The birthday banner has come out. It is unfurling. Come visit us at www.orhadash.com. Like us on Facebook. And we can't wait to see you again next Shabbat, and anytime, all times. Everyone is welcome. Come as you are. And so thank you all so much. And from all of us in our homes to all of you in your homes, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.